Sir, it's a pleasure to be here. You know, when Asher told me that there was an opportunity to speak about innovation and entrepreneurship and creativity, that really interests me a lot, because I believe that my practice, which is in founding and starting and building and selling businesses, and also in investing and helping businesses grow, etc., there's a lot of innovation that's required, and there's a lot of creativity that's required, and sometimes they go hand in hand, because when you are starting a company, you have limited resources, both people and money, and you can't afford to go and buy the best talent, you can't afford to buy the best technology, so you're forced by necessity to think out of the box and to be as creative and as resourceful as possible. Before I get started, how much time do we have? How long do you want me to go? And I want to make this as interactive as possible.
Yeah, the plan is
Q&A.
to have you talk for about half an hour.
Okay.
And then we'll have about 15 minutes for question and answers. And then the dinner will arrive.
Okay.
And then we can talk informally over dinner.
Sure, sure. So what I was thinking tonight, I could give a little background on my company, both Lore Systems and Opus 8, which is a company that I founded to make investments in early stage companies, and then talk a little bit about my thoughts on entrepreneurship and my thoughts on some of the, you know, what it's like to be an entrepreneur and some of the thought processes that you go through to make your first sale and to do your investing. And along the way, I have two sort of cases that I'd like to talk about, examples of how we utilize technology innovation to grow our business, to save money, or to basically help create the value of the company. So to move this forward, I go like that. So Opus 8 is a company that I founded in 2002. We are a private investment company based in Maryland, and we focus on investing in mainly services businesses. So we do business process outsourcing, we do IT outsourcing, data centers, call centers, customer relationship management technologies. And the reason we're interested in that space is because my background is in customer relationship management and call centers. So I did that for 12 years. I'll go through a little history of the company that I started and sold in a little while. But because myself and my team and our board all have a lot of experience in these areas of business services, we decided to focus on areas that we have a little bit of domain expertise in. So that's why we're not doing biotechnology, we're not doing energy, we're not doing environmental type sciences. We're focused on business services, which is, and the amounts that we're looking at investing is anywhere from $100,000 to $2.5 million per transaction. So that's been the range of investments that we've done, and we've invested in about a dozen different opportunities up and down the East Coast. So we have holdings in New Jersey, New York, Connecticut, obviously the DC region. We even have some investments in China. So we are long-term bullish on China and Brazil. We have some holdings in Brazil as well, and we really believe that those markets are there's a big macro wave of growth that's happening and will continue to happen for many generations, we believe, in those two countries. So we're very strong, very positive on Brazil and China. With respect to why we're different, or what makes us different than most angel investors or venture investors, however you want to call us, we focus not on technology, we don't focus on markets, we don't focus on geography, we focus on people. And basically that's the leadership of the team, that is the founder and the founder's partners. And we look at two main characteristics. We want to see, thank you, we want to see how experienced are they and can they execute. And by execution we're talking about their sensitivity and obsession with customers and customer care, and whether they really are attentive to the customer's needs. And when you're doing technology and technology innovation or services, you have to listen to your customer. It's very easy to get caught up in, to get seduced by this great technology or this great widget that you've invented. And you really have to look at, how's the market perceiving? Is the timing right for the market? Is the pricing going to be right? Is this the exact solution for the exact pain of my customer? Those types of things need to be thought through. So we're looking for leaders that have that ability to execute. And also we're looking for personal traits of people. We want humble, coachable, open-minded leaders, because one thing's for sure, whatever business plan you make, day one, the business plan is going to change because something's going to happen to your startup that's going to make you change course. And if you're not humble, transparent, coachable, open to different ways of thinking, you're going to probably lose out a little bit. And I know that you want to focus as much as possible, so it's important for an entrepreneur to focus, but I think it's worse to be completely focused without any flexibility than to be too flexible and have to learn how to focus more. So where we add value is in areas that we have expertise. So people, hiring, training, motivating, retaining people, customer acquisition and marketing. So going out and helping market and sell, doing business development on behalf of our portfolio companies or helping them do that. And then customer lifecycle management. So not just making the sale, but also throughout the entire life cycle of the customer relationship, figuring out how to maximize value for both the customer and for the company. We are very big into business process engineering because in my call center business, my CRM business, we were very process oriented because that's a business that has a lot to do with people and production and getting things done and efficiency. So we had to be very good at developing processes, and we want to bring that expertise to our portfolio company. So in short, we're Opus 8. We call ourselves entrepreneurs investing in entrepreneurs. So, take a drink here. So I sold the company, I sold my call center business in early 03, and became an investor, and wound up investing in a number of different companies. And we bought a company called Lore Systems. And Lore is an enterprise network engineering company based in the DC region. We operate Tier 3 data center facilities out in Ashburn, Virginia. And we serve over 200 commercial, NGO, SMB, and government customers. We are a leader, we think, in cloud computing, and by cloud computing I mean infrastructure as a service and platform as a service. Our infrastructure as a service offering was something that was developed out of necessity several years ago, about 8 years ago. And I can come back to that when I'm done telling you a little bit about Lore, because that's a good example of innovation and how we were able to navigate the waters a little bit to be resourceful. We do managed hosting, co-location, and basically anything having to do with IT networks. So we do the design and architecture, the implementation, we do the support, ongoing management and maintenance of networks and servers, etc. We are in the process of certifying for a hub zone, which is a historically underutilized business zone certification from the U.S. Small Business Administration, and we expect that certification within the next 45 to 60 days. And upon receiving that certification, we will be the only Tier 3 data center hub zone company in the United States. And what that means is that allows us to qualify for hub zone set-asides on IT services contracts that have been given to the federal government, mostly civilian agencies, award to contractors. And we can also sole source bids using the hub zone hunting license, and we'll also be able to bid on hub zone only opportunities. And of course we're going to continue bidding on full and open opportunities as well. And our differentiator in the IT world is that we do things, we make IT easier, friendlier, and more reliable, which is sort of the customer care person in me. I have a background in customer care, so I wanted to be very customer focused. And Lore was founded, I was not the founder of Lore, I bought it 3 years ago, but Lore was founded by 4 Microsoft engineers that came out of Virginia Tech. Microsoft was the investor in Lore way back in 1995, so it has a very hardcore engineering culture. So I love that culture, and I wanted to add to the culture a culture of customer sensitivity and customer centricity. So we said we're going to be easier to deal with, which most IT companies are not. Friendlier, which is antithetical to the way IT companies treat their customers, and more reliable. So a lot of IT companies in the managed services space are not reliable, and we said that's one thing we could do to be better than the other guy. So I wanted to just talk a little bit about the company that got me to where I am today. And that company was originally known as Unitel, and I changed the name to CyberRep because we were thinking of going public about 11 years ago. And we founded the company in '92. It was myself and two friends, and we went into credit card debt to start the business. At the time, we were just ambitious, young, energetic, had a great idea, we thought, and we recognized that the call center or CRM industry had some quality gaps. So a lot of people in that space offered very average service. So we said, maybe there's an opportunity here for a company to focus on quality, to hire the best people and spend the money training them, and build a business that corporate customers, the Fortune 500 customers, would appreciate. So we started with zero, and basically landed some customers just by cold calling them and going to see them, and we kind of grew the business. We became a pretty big leader in the telecommunications, CRM space, financial services, consumer products, and the differentiation for us was the means of production, which were people. We hired the best people we could hire for the price we were paying. We trained them, we spent money on them, we gave them 401k plans and generous benefits, things that most of the other competitors of ours didn't do. So we really focused hard on the people side, on the soft side. On the capital side, we raised 3 rounds of capital with a local publicly traded business development company called Allied Capital, which is no longer in business, but they wound up owning almost a third of the company for $21 million in mezzanine and some equity. And then I sold the company to ACS, which is a publicly traded company back in '03. They were a Fortune 500, and last year they were acquired by Xerox Corp. So they're now part of Xerox.
So ACS does a lot of government contracts.
Yes, they do.
Because I remember in the 1990s, I was doing some consulting work for Lockheed Martin.
Yes.
Lockheed Martin wanted to be the next Accenture or
That's right.
or IBM Global Services, and they were seriously thinking about acquiring ACS at that time.
Right. I think they wound up buying the ACS government business, and ACS bought the state and local business from Lockheed. I think it was a swap. This was right after we sold our company to them too. Now, ACS had 3 divisions. They had federal, which you're familiar with. They had a state and local division, and they had a commercial division. So we sold to the commercial divisions of ACS. But
and also, by the way, in 1992, was this term CRM around?
no, it wasn't.
Not
No.
at all.
Call center wasn't around.
Yeah.
The word outsourcing didn't exist back then. It was all about, people didn't call it outsourcing. They didn't, offshoring, onshoring, none of those terms existed. It was just called telemarketing, was basically the word.
That was the year when SAP really has this first client-server version of enterprise ERP system called R3 in 1992.
Wow.
So
Wow.
that was the...
You're older than you are.
I studied the history of technology.
Oh, okay. All right, I see. Yeah, that's fascinating.
So you were
Yeah.
absolutely at the cutting edge, where there was no edge for
Yeah.
CRM.
Some people call that bleeding
Bleeding
edge,
edge,
and you
yeah.
bleed to death if you go too far on the edge. But yeah, we had a nice run. I think we were a real leader in the space. I mean, my company, when I sold it, we were doing about $80 million in revenue. And today, my team is still running the unit. It's part of Xerox. They're doing about $1.5 billion in revenue. So they're one of the largest call center operators in the world right now, of any kind. And that was, my company was the foundation for this growth. ACS bought us to be a platform company. So they used our platform and our people to continue leveraging, their customer base and their expertise. So they really, and their balance sheet, of course, because when you have a big balance sheet, you can grow a business because, obviously, so yeah. Just to give you an idea of some of the growth of my company, we started the business in '92, and it took us 3 years to get to $3 million in revenue. And then from there, and we had 1 location and about 65 employees in McLean, Virginia. And a year later, we expanded to a location in Maryland and 1 down in Florida. and we almost more than doubled